The way that the process works under the statute is that the applicant for the financial agreement puts together an application package. Included in that application package would be a draft of a form of agreement. The agreement that ultimately has been settled upon was negotiated by my office with Mr. Bruno's office, and that's what's before the Township Committee this evening.
Okay. And where does the co-op contribution come into this?
That's as part of the redeveloper agreement that is separate and apart from this.
So, separate and apart from Toll Brothers? And
No,
only the
separate and apart from the financial agreement that's under consideration by the Township Committee tonight.
That was in the redevelopment agreement. There are 43 assisted living units in the building. We did that a couple of years ago when we did the
Okay.
agreement.
And has our co-obligation gone up?
We don't know what a co-op is.
We don't know what the co-op
We don't know what it
is.
is yet. We're still trying to find out the number.
We'll let you know.
Again, you're going off the topic of.
I want to allow some other residents now, okay, Carol? Is that okay?
Yeah, I reserve the right to come back, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. You know what, there's a couple hands up. The guy in the back, I think your hand's been up the longest.
Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Passaro, 20 Honey Road, from town here. It's funny, usually I find myself on the side of the developer. It's kind of what I do, and I always sit in meetings and say, oh, be quiet, folks, because it's my livelihood, but now it's also, it's where I live, things like that. And hopefully not to get booed by someone in public, but I do understand, money doesn't grow on trees. The roads don't pay themselves, the school bills, teachers don't also pay themselves. Facilities don't maintain themselves, things like that. The one thing I just kind of want to bring up, and look, we're talking, in the grand scheme of things, pennies. The savings between what we're taking from the county, not fine taking from the county. That's okay, they can find money someplace else. It is pennies on the dollar, I get it. But I don't think, one person, I forget which gentleman raised the point, probably none of us, hey, if I'm here in 35 years, fantastic, I'm hopefully a little bit of a young pup, but without the guarantee of the money going into the school system, there is a potential 15, 20, 25 years down the road that it is used for some other purpose, and there's, let's call it small town infighting. We're not a small town, but small town infighting. So just to keep that in mind, that at some point there may be a time when cooler heads don't prevail, and the money, because I'm very experienced with pilots, so I just want to understand, cooler heads don't prevail, and while the money may be used for something in town, and for sewage too, but
She didn't eat.
maybe the record did pick that up either. I'm on septic, environmental, from things like that. But that's a possibility. I just everyone can kind of keep that in mind.
Let me rest you a little bit at ease. That guy down there has got 2 young children in the system. This guy's got 2 with 1 young. I have 3. That guy down the end's got 3. The guy 2 down from me, he has grandchildren. Let me be clear, grandchildren. This guy over here, he doesn't have grandchildren yet, but they're coming. So here's the thing. I'm not waiting 5 years to make that impact. You're going to see the impact. You're going to see it soon. I don't want to not be here when we make that impact to the school system. So have a little faith, have a little trust. We're going to do the right thing, I promise you.
I think that's just kind of what I'm hearing in general. You guys don't see me, you probably, HYA, you see me coaching softball.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, I don't come here. But the other thing too is just remember, Toll Brothers is going to sell these houses anyway. I know,
Anyway.
They drive a hard
Yeah.
bargain. We could use a couple more softball fields. Toll Brothers wants to throw that in, there's, that was kind of a joke up in the record. That was not.
Thank you.
But just keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, right?
Thank you.
Appreciate it, thanks.
Anyone else? Okay, let's go right here.
Hi, Regina Crisione, 35 Rambling Brook Drive. My first question is, it's not a question. When we were at a meeting at the community center, a representative from Toll Brothers stood up. I think his name was Chris. He was a Holmdel, he had grown up in Holmdel, and assured us with all their marketing, they knew they would sell those homes. So my understanding, because my two sisters just sold their homes and each had 4 buyers and a bidding war, and were paid more than the asking price, why all of a sudden do you think these homes won't sell? Or do they think these homes won't sell?
They need an issue.
It's really not a matter of not selling, it's a matter of, these are age-restricted units, and the redevelopment plan was set up for age-restricted units and for a purpose. And the purpose was to minimize the impact on municipal services that these units would demand while still doing a responsible redevelopment. And in order to make sure that the units would get absorbed into the market, because there's other, the bottom line is, it's an age-restricted unit. You can't sell it to somebody that doesn't fit that age requirement. So you are, as a matter of fact, it's not like your home, because you can sell your home to whoever you want to.
But they
can't.
knew that going in, and they did the research. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gotten involved at all.
That's correct, and the township committee decided hasn't decided, but they're considering that tonight, as a matter of making sure that this project goes the way that everyone wants it to go. They'll decide whether or not to provide the financial agreement.
Okay, so the thought process is that if we don't give them the pilot, they won't be able to sell these homes.
Not necessarily that they wouldn't be able to sell them, but you're certainly not going to have the absorption that you will based upon the financial agreement.
Okay, I just find that hard to believe. Another question, I don't know if you can answer this, but I would just like to put it out there. How many for-profit, age-related communities in New Jersey get pilot, have pilot programs, agreements from the town?
Age-restricted? Hundreds.
Have pilot agreements?
Hundreds.
Oh, so this is standard, this is not an out of the
This
ordinary thing?
is not an unusual, first of all, this program was created by the legislature for this very purpose. The legislature, this isn't something that the township committee came up with and just made up, we're gonna do this. This is something that the legislature provided to municipalities so that they could address certain things, and that's what the township committee is seeking to do here. So this is it's a common transaction that occurs throughout the state.
Okay, let me clarify. Not affordable housing,
Not affordable,
not in
market rate
in an
housing.
area that isn't blighted, or
Well-
was for formerly open space, they're getting pilot agreements?
Well, this property, the entire 470-plus acres, was designated an area in need of redevelopment. We don't, blighted is, even though that word is in the Constitution, it's not a word that's used in the statute. And if it meets the statutory criteria, which this does, and this property does, and this is a segment of that property, then this tool is available in the municipal toolkit.
Okay, well, really, it was the building that was in need of redevelopment, not the beautiful 472 acres.
Right.
But that's it. Another question, I'd like to know what happens to the tax revenue that would have gone to the schools? Is any of that going to be used for the library that we now have to pay for, which we thought we were getting for free?
Who said we're paying for the library?
I heard there was money in the budget, something like $2 million to go toward the library.
No.
It was in the budget. We
So
budgeted
Somerset will
it.
be paying? I know, last I heard, they were giving us the space.
The space for free.
Giving us the space and all soft costs for perpetuity. Yes.
What do you mean by soft costs?
Any,
We don't have to pay for lights and the
lights,
shared costs.
costs,
It's a
cleaning, any of that stuff. Perpetuity.
I thought that was
Heat,
applied
air
to the
conditioning.
county.
No.
No. No.
1.7 million in the
Capital budget, correct.
1.7 million, so where is that going to come from?
Has not been allocated yet.
Okay, one more question. Okay, there was another pilot with Somerset where money came to the township and didn't go to the schools. How much was that? How much did the schools lose in that pilot? Does anyone know?
I'm sorry, I don't have those figures with me tonight. If you want, I can give you my card and I can provide you that information.
Okay, well, I think it's important for people to realize that the schools already lost money on the last pilot. Now they're going to lose more. I don't understand how we're going to support educating these children.
Well, it's, again, and I understand what your perspective is, but the theory behind this is not that the schools are losing money. The issue is that none of this property would be put into use and no revenues would be coming to anybody, either the municipal government, the school district, or to the county, unless this redevelopment occurred.
Yeah, but I just don't believe that. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Message from Paula.
Jennifer, 11, can you hear me? 11 Hickson Terrace. Could I just ask a question first, and I have a couple comments? Could you just name some of the hundreds of 55 and older in this area that get pilots?
In this area, well, first of all, I didn't say there were hundreds in this area. I said they were all over the state.
Well, I'm
And I don't
asking, are there
represent
any?
them all. I'm not aware of a particular age-restricted redevelopment. Oh. I'm not gonna say, unless I'm 100% sure, I'm not gonna tell you that I know of one within a 5-mile radius or a 10-mile radius of here.
Well, even in the county or Ocean County?
You don't know, you don't know.
You don't know?
Has nothing to do with it.
What does that have to do with
Well,
Because there is none.
Okay.
There is
go ahead.
none.
the information. It's hard, and he'll get it to you.
Okay. So, I agree with many of the things that have already been said. I'm not going to reiterate. I am very concerned about money not going to the schools. My kids are out of the schools, but I'm still here because of the property values, because of the schools. And the last time this happened, when we had this pilot program discussion, there was a lot of disagreement. And I think if anybody had known at that time that the pilot was also going to cover the homes that people did not want, I think it would have been a lot different at that time. There would have been a lot more fighting, and I don't know that it ever would have passed. So it's almost like a bait and switch, because it wasn't presented in the beginning when this whole property was brought up.
The application had not been filed.
Well, we knew.
The process is triggered by an application by the applicant.
Right, but we were pretty well assured that this was applying only to the commercial property of this property. People did not want houses on this property.
Yes.
If we had known that they were going to get a tax abatement, a pilot program, it would have been a lot more screaming at the time, because people did not want houses there.
Jen, nobody wanted houses there. Let me be clear, but without the houses, you had no building. And let me be perfectly clear, and I can't be clearer than clear, because former Mayor Pat Papaduto and myself have been on that Lucent committee for 6 years since I started. And I can tell you one thing without question. Businesses are not coming to New Jersey. Businesses are not coming to Monmouth County. If you think we are competitive, we are far from competitive. So the only way we can be competitive in this state, in this county, and in Holmdel is with tax incentives. Pennsylvania is doing it on the Keystone. New York is doing free taxes for everything for years and years and years. In order to attract and hold the right type of employers, we need tax incentives. So you can take whatever math you want, because 0 times X is still 0. So without this pilot, that building is empty. And without those homes, which I didn't want, that building is vacant and empty. Those are the facts.
Why? Why the
Where's the
building?
applause? Where's the applause? I don't get a clap.
Why the building is going to be empty?
Listen, ma'am.
Because nobody wanted.
No yelling out. Don't answer, Pat. We have a microphone. We have a process.
Okay, well, we were told at the time of the first pilot that the homes were going to sell as.
Understand. Understand. I understand.
Okay, so things have been different now. I question whether they're different. Houses are selling. Some are selling very quickly in Holmdel, everywhere.
They can.
And they can sell by Toll Brothers. Toll Brothers homes sell. I don't think we need to give them a break. I just don't think we need to do that. And I encourage you not to vote. I encourage you to vote no, but I encourage you not to vote no. The public has all the papers that we should have.
Exactly.
And, I understand that it's a lot, but I think people would like to read through it.
Thank
The
you.
only other thing I want to say is, as Kathy Weber had said, there is competition among homes. And what really concerns me is Cedar Village and Village Brand, because they are in direct competition. And there are people over there that are always concerned about their taxes on fixed incomes. And now they're going to be competing with new homes, and the taxes probably will be less. So it's very difficult for people, anybody who wants to sell from there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If your income is below 77,000. So John G., 38 Jack Lucent. So, I have general sympathy with the same philosophy that's been expressed, so I won't say anything more about that. Also, the paperwork, as Ralph mentioned, is extremely difficult to follow, and there are many sections missing, so I think that's a real problem because we just don't have the information. Regarding the actual numbers, the only number that I could actually get was the last sheet, and also the little review that I could expand it. Now, I want to understand that a little better, just to get some clarity. What I see on this is, under the pilot scenario, the township gets 103 million over 35 years. Okay. And without pilot, the conventional tax analysis, what I see here is 90 million to the schools and 27 million to the township. So if I add those numbers together, I get 117 million to the township and 103 under pilot. So am I missing something? I'm seeing 14 million coming less to the town. To the town meaning schools plus
Community.
township.
That's it, the
So am I
county.
misunderstanding something?
You might be missing the county
County
portion
piece.
and
But the
open
county piece
space.
doesn't come to us. I'm concerned about,
No,
the
they're not
town.
getting the full amount they would have gotten. So that's staying with us. Am I right, Ken?
That's correct, Mayor.
So that see, what I'm saying is, where on this sheet do I see, under the pilot scenario, the money that's coming to us, besides the 103? Where's the 22 on that?
I'm not sure I'm following.
Okay,
Sure,
so you have a
I'm
different
following.
table than us.
What we got isn't
You
what
know
you
what, I
asked.
think we need to really get the information, because
Yeah.
they're just small, very
What I have is what you have.
It's
well.
not what you gave me.
I don't have
They
that
don't
sheet. It
look
looks
the
different.
same. This is what was in, what Maureen sent out.
One
This is
at a
22.
time at the microphone,
They told-
please.
One,
You're speaking.
Okay.
hold on, let him finish,
No,
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I can't match up the numbers. The numbers that I see here are a little different. And maybe, I'm missing something. I just need to have the numbers.
Do you have a question on the numbers that Dan can answer?
Go ahead.
I don't know whether Dan can. I wish he could. I don't
Go
know.
ahead, this is,
Oh, so it's a different take?
no, this is the document you're looking at.
Okay, so what I'm looking at is the township gets 103, is that correct, on the pilot?
Right.
What else does the township get besides the 103? You're saying that there's another 22 sitting somewhere?
No. No.
No. So the township will get 103, correct?
Well, the way that it works, sir, is that it's 103 for pilot revenue. Over the course of time, and folks have used 30 years and 35 years,
Sure.
what happens is the agreement can last for 35 years, but you can only have an agreement with an individual property for 30 years. So let's say that someone buys a property in year 6 of the agreement, then they have 29 years. And at some point, 5 years, after 30 years, 5 years of regular taxes would kick in for the properties that have already exhausted that 30-year period. So that's where that extra money is.
Well, okay, so in the last pilot that we did, we had a sheet of paper which made it very clear what the town was getting, and the numbers were explicit Like in that case, it was mentioned, we lost $30 million. Here, I'm not sure where I can extract those numbers, because what I can extract here is just what I see. What I see here is 103 million coming to the town under pilot. And I see in the regular scenario, the town would get 90 million for the schools and 27 for the township. So I see a deficit for the town as a whole of 14 million.
Right, and that's, as I said to you, that's because of that interim period where you have
So,
people
you know, what, I understand.
going back to regular taxes.
Yeah, I understand that, but that should be captured in a pilot proper analysis presented to the public.
Well, that is,
But where does it appear?
all, the summary that's set forth there, sir,
Yeah.
all that is to lay out what would be pilot payments.
Okay,
that
so
would be
what?
That would be $103 million to the township, and then 5% additional. That represents 95% of the payments under the financial agreement that would be made to the township.
Right.
Okay, and the other 5% would go to the county.
I get that, I'm just saying, I'm looking at this column, it just says 103, that's what's going to the town.
Right.
On the pilot.
Right, and then under that same scenario, for those same homes, for those 30 years, what the township would receive is about $27 million. Okay, and that's the $75 million spread between, he doesn't have this
He
stuff?
doesn't have this, he doesn't have the bottom. You see where it's all white?
Are you saying
It was folded.
This thing?
This, yes. No,
He
yeah.
does have that?
Yeah.
So what is this?
This is the pilot payments,
Okay.
103 million. That is what the township would receive, okay, under conventional taxes, about 27 million.
Right.
And that represents the
Well, okay.
$75 million spread.
Dan, can you just, for the benefit of the public,
Sure.
can you just summarize for everybody else? I know you're seeing it, but I want everyone else to just understand, or maybe you can.
What he's basically splitting up the 90 million into the 27 and the 70. My point is, under pilot, you're getting 103. This is their analysis, not mine. This is their analysis. It says, under pilot, you get 103. When you take the conventional analysis, the town gets really 90 plus 27, which is 117. So you're missing 14 million. So this pilot is really costing us 14 million. I just want to make that very clear, because it's not an obfuscation that's going to the town and the county, whatever. No, it's coming from our pocket. I want that to be very clear. This is costing us $14 million according to this sheet. You know.
Thank you. Why don't we get a line for who's left? That would be helpful, so we can, go ahead, Ralph.
Just to reiterate the point before, what was it?
State your name.
Okay, Ralph, sorry, Ralph Blumenthal, 41 Southwood Road. What was in what I received from Maureen was like this. Your attorney just gave me, because that, they don't look the same.
Okay, Jeanette has,
Well, the point is, we're
Ralph,
confused as to what the
Jeanette
correct
has
number
the
is.
document that I sent you. And if you look at the last
Right.
page on Jeanette's document, that's what you will see.
In short, we're confused as to what the correct numbers are, and we've had the opportunity to review them. And I believe the public should be given all of this information. Probably rather than trying to email something like this, what you ought to create is a web page with an index and separate chapters for each of the attachments and documents, so you can get 20 to 30 pages at a time or something of that sort. It's not difficult to set something up like that.
Okay, thank you.
Just to come back to one point that was made, as if I understand the numbers correctly, under the conventional approach, the schools would have, and this is rounded and averaged over 30 years, on the order of $3 million a year if there wasn't a pilot. What that means, they're running right now at roughly a $50 million, $60 million budget, with $50 million coming from taxes. If they don't get that $3 million, that $3 million's got to come from the rest of us. So everybody in Holmdel will see a 6-7% increase in their taxes to make that up that difference. That's not fair. So
Okay.
it's.
So Ralph,
inequitable.
let me just say one thing. I hear you loud and clear, okay? I was here for the first pilot conversation. I understand pilots, but maybe a little bit more than the average person, because I've been involved in them myself. You were here at the last meeting too, correct? We have a serious infrastructure problem in this town. So you're saying we're keeping the money from the school system because they've got to continue to pay for increased costs for a declining enrollment. All right, it's a big declining enrollment. We've got to find ways to raise money without raising taxes to pave your streets and repair your sidewalks and curbs. I know you understand that. I just wanted to say it one more time for the benefit of the people that weren't here 2 weeks ago and the month before that, because I've been listening to it for 3.5 years.
I'm just going to get to a final point. I hope
Okay.
Bring it on.
on that, is that each of the bodies strike a budget and they try to do so in a responsible fashion.
Correct.
Rather than taking the school money, that may not be the right way to word it. If you feel, and I hear you, that there is justifiable need for the municipality to spend more, say it up front, say it to the public, and justify it when you strike your budget. In the case of road work, you can bond for that, so it doesn't show up in the current expense. It shows up later. Do a larger bond.
Shows up in the current expense, doesn't it?
It
It shows up
in the
later,
current expense.
but it's not subject to the cap,
Okay.
I believe.
Right, and then.
So it's not subject to, just explain it to the public, justify it yourself, instead of underhandedly
Thank you.
taking it from the school.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, Sam.
7 Indian Creek Road. Good evening. This is a tough topic and a complex situation. I think there are a lot of good questions raised, and a lot of people feel very uneasy that somebody's losing out. And I feel that you should vote no on this tonight or not vote at all. And if you really want this to happen, I would argue that you ought to make it a public referendum and give everybody a chance, all stakeholders to be involved. And it becomes a vote, and the county gets involved, everybody else.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you.
Hi, Simon Bennett, 29 Redcrest Lane. One thing I wasn't sure about with this tax structure, are we saying that the residences of these new over 55 housing have a fixed tax rate for the next 30 to 35 years?
Yep.
No.
So it's indexed
No.
to inflation? It's not going to match any other tax increases?
No, it graduates every year in accordance with the agreement.
0.75%.
0.75%. So theoretically, and I'm sure there's a lot smarter people in this room than me, I've got no idea what I'm doing next week. I can guarantee you, I've got no idea what my tax rates are going to be in 5 or 10 years' time. And I guarantee you it's going to be going up more than 0.75% a year. So the difference we're talking about now, which was...
I think we're going to do our best not to make that happen, but...
Yeah, well, you know, one of the ways you can do that is by not increasing the gap, by subsidizing the top of this housing. Because it could well be that this differential between the 90 million or the 147 million could in fact be over the next 30 years, something along the lines of 90 million to 200 million.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Just for your information, the assessor took the expected tax increases based upon historical data as to what the taxes would be over the course of the agreement. So he didn't use it as a static number of what the taxes are today times 30. He actually counted on what the raises would be, and that's how he got to the 149.
Yeah, but you're looking at such a massive time period. I don't think you can't base the next 30 years on what happened in the last 30. Last 30 years, there were probably sheep walking down Main Street. You're not going to see that again.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Hi, good evening. Marina Yashima, 692 Northview Street. I'm all new. I came from Russia, so everything new.
Welcome.
I'm just following my mom's brain. I just, as a minority, my mother tongue is Russian. English I learned when I came here 30 years. I'm 49, so it's been a long time for me. Still, I received a notice, believe it or not, by one very clever mom from the 2nd grade from a village school who was panicking, and she's saying, I'm sorry, in the email, I'm using this only available method to make people aware of the meeting. If somebody is interested or have something to say, nobody knew. And it was basically the mom's radio. One mom calling another mom, sending text message, nobody knew. So I received this notice yesterday from email. I didn't have a time, a busy mom of 2, already planned dental appointment, eyes appointment, gymnastic pickup, drop off, and etc. So I didn't have a normal amount of time for me to read this. I have a master's degree in engineering. I worked for United Bank of Switzerland for 12 years. I have a brain to understand the technicality. I just need a fair amount of warning and time. So I think it wasn't fair for community members. Mom wants to know it, being aware what's going on. And we don't forget about people who are physically impaired, who can hear or see. So it would be nice to have this imprinted for blind people or people who can hear. And for me, as a person, English with a second language I learned, it's complicated. Maybe for you it's more clear and you deal with the public interest and the township interest. It would be much more visual, so we will have, there is a technology, we live in 21st century, we can display the numbers, we can scroll on a, it's out there, it won't be like reading like, if you will present us at UBS like meeting, you will be fired. You will be fired in the first meeting, like business analyst. I mean, come on, 5 minutes ago you're giving me 300 pages of sheets and stakeholders have to make a decision on big decision. You will be fired like as a big manager, even CEO one, like, this is not acceptable.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
There is technology, we can use it. It's not that costly out there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sister.
Please identify yourself
You have to
again.
say your name again.
What?
You have to identify yourself
Oh,
again.
you identify myself again. Larry Smith, 18 Blue Hills Drive. Mr. Petrelli's comments really brought me up here. There's nothing, in my view, more unethical than setting up a system where you're going to get money, take money that's not going to the schools. If in fact, any of the things I read and understand are going on in this confounded world, even if they're half correct, our tax rate in town is going to be a lot higher just to get to keep things going. The economy is in strange conditions. The debt in this country is unbelievable. And who knows what's going to happen as a result of the political roundup. But I would urge you, drop this whole idea, please. This is just plain unethical to set something up that makes it possible for you to do something you want, to hide the fact that you're spending money and leaving our school system in the county hanging. It just isn't right. Thank you.
Thank you. Last comment.
Yes,
Yes, Carol, I won't let you down.
Pradeep Chandni, 38 Lucent. I really encourage you all to look at this last sheet because it tells you what it really costs us. Because I'm seeing surprised faces. I want you to understand it. It costs us $14 million according to this sheet. It's not the county, it's the town. And please read it because you're voting on something extremely important. It's costing us please acknowledge it because this is important. You cannot just shove it under the carpet. It's their paper. It's $14 million that's coming out of our pocket.
Thank you.
Jay, 18 Live Drive. I guess I'm just concerned in the narrative of this. First, again, the $70 million benefit we weren't going to get. Then it's, well, it's a wash when you adjust for the municipality, give or take a few million. And now it's a $14 million. So what are we saying? Is it 14 million effective loss of revenue over 35 years? Because just before you guys said it was a wash, give or take, and before that we've had this, again, this $70 million number come into the town that otherwise wouldn't have. So the narrative's really going downhill fast.
Dan,
Is it a $14 million loss in revenue?
No.
Well, he didn't contest it, he just, you know.
Yeah, why did you?
Let him take, let Dan speak.
You want to answer?
No, I just, he didn't contest it twice, though. Okay, please answer.
As I indicated at the outset, ordinary taxes, regular taxes on this, as computed by the assessor, would be over the course of the time of this agreement about $146 million. Under the financial agreement, when you include other taxes that would be paid, about $122 million will come to the township. Okay. Now, when you eliminate the money that would go to the county, that number is compressed. What that number, whether it's $2 million, $4 million, frankly even $10 million over the course of 30 years, what you're doing is you're bringing more money into the township to address the infrastructure needs, which is exactly what the purpose of programs like this are for, and that's why the legislature gave municipalities the ability to do this.
Okay, so it's 14 million before, because again.
Well, it's actually more than that, sir. It's
I just want to
24 million. It's $24 million.
I spent.
That's how I started the presentation.
So it's 24 million.
Right.
So when you adjust for the municipal adjustment, what is it? What is the amount roughly?
I would say that it's probably, depending upon where the county taxes go, it could be, it's going to be under $10 million.
Over the 35 years?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Carol, you're the last speaker. Carol. You don't want to stand on your toe, can you jump?
Thank you, okay. Oh, that's all right, that's all right, okay. Identify yourself. Oh, I'm sorry, Carol Bonner, 96 Middletown Road, Holmdel. The first thing I want to start off with is, I firmly believe, and I think the people in this audience also believe, and maybe the rest of the town would believe it too if they were made aware of it, that this hearing has to be extended. There has not been the complete and total information that is available has not been made available to the stakeholders of this town, which are the current taxpayers, okay? I know Mayor Hines is up for re-election. I know even though I disagree with you, I do believe you think you're doing the right thing. I disagree with you. But I also think that you want to have the people fully informed, especially in this election season, fairly informed, fairly and equitably informed of exactly what is being taken from their tax dollar or given to their into their wallet. So I would encourage this committee to please extend this public hearing to provide ample, fair and equitable treatment for all stakeholders, to be provided all the information, which seems to be so voluminous that you can't put it into a public notice, which in and of itself makes the public dubious, okay, at best, okay? That's the first thing. I think this hearing has to be extended, okay? And giving everybody a fair chance so they understand what they're commenting on. The second thing is, I'd like to ask Mr. Coles, have you read all 360 pages?
It was very boring, yes.
Okay.
A lot of legalese.
Okay. Ms. Montanto?
What? What's
Have
the
you read
question?
all 360 pages plus?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And Mayor Hines, of course.
Of course.
Of course, okay. And Mr. Caitelli?
I did, yes.
And Mr. Prevenuto? Okay. Well, we haven't had a chance to read all 360 pages. So again, I emphasize, I think for fair and equitable treatment for all your voters, and all your taxpayers and payers and all your constituents, I think you should give us a chance to read them all as well. and read them clearly, not just in an email, okay?
Thank you, Carol.
The other thing is, am I going to have a chance to talk to the Toll Brothers attorney?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dan, do you have any comments? I'm closing the public portion. Dan, do you have any comments for the five of us? Or for the public?
Just a couple of things. As you all know from having reviewed this material, the vast majority of the, you've heard the 360 pages, the vast majority of that consists of plans, planning board resolutions, and documents that have already been made public and are available to the public readily. The meat of what has been provided is the financial agreement and the actual application itself. I would simply, I come before and I listened to all the speakers tonight. I understand that there's always a tension in communities between what money would go to what particular entity, whether it's the Board of Ed or to the township itself. I'm simply speaking as someone who has experience in dealing with the framework, the structure that the legislature set up to assist municipalities like Holmdel, who were faced with very difficult situations, including this situation at Lucent, where it literally laid fallow for years. And this is what the legislature has set up and allowed municipalities to do. I've negotiated and been involved in pilot agreements across the state, in various counties in the state, and frankly, the discount that was sought under the agreement, which is a public document that I know the township clerk has made available, was far steeper than what we ultimately negotiated to get. And in fact, we almost, it's probably the benefit to the township was increased by almost double as a result of the negotiation. So I think it's a fair and an equitable agreement from my perspective as your advisor. And like I said, I've heard everything that the audience has said tonight. I understand that tension, but this is what was intended by the legislature. I think you're properly invoking the tools that the legislature has given you if you decide to pass this, and I would have no hesitation in recommending that you pass it.
Thank you, Dan. Public portion's been closed, Mike.
I never got a chance to make statements.
Mike, good. Public portion has been closed. Public portion has been closed. Thank you, Mike.
So Dan, based on your commentary.
Come to the school board meeting next week, you'll hear my comment then.
This project having no impact on getting children to the school, I'd like to make a motion to adopt.
Second. Roll call.
Mrs. Nicholas?
Yes.
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Fratelli?
Yes.
Mr. Capadudo?
Yes.
Mayor Hahn?
Yes. Line item 13, an ordinance amending chapter 4, general licensing section, licensing
So this
regulations
meeting was not given.
of persons engaging in the purchase of precious metals.
Wait, you're saying we didn't notice this meeting?
Maureen, proper notice of this
Maureen,
hearing
stop.
is not given.
13, an ordinance amending chapter 4, general licensing, section 4-5, licensing regulating of persons engaging in the purchase of precious metals, gems and jewelry section, bond of the revised general ordinance of the Township of Holmdel, Monmouth County, New Jersey. Clerk statement.
This ordinance has been published in the Asbury Park Press, posted on the bulletin board. Copies have been made available to the public to the clerk's office.
This ain't the same.
Public statements. Seeing that there is none, make a motion. Second. Roll call.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Fratelli?
Yes.
Mr. Capadudo?
Yes.
Mayor Hahn?
Yes. Line item 14, an ordinance amending section, chapter 4, general motor vehicle towing and storing, standards and qualifications of motor vehicle storage for towing and storage fees, fee schedule, revised general ordinance of the Township of Holmdel. Clerk statement.
This ordinance has been published in the Asbury Park Press, posted on the bulletin board, and copies have been made available to the public to the clerk's office and at the rear of the room.
Any statements from the public? No further motion?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Fratelli?
Yes.
Mr. Capadudo?
Yes.
Mayor Hahn?
Yes. Line item 15, ABC license approvals for 2016-17. Approve the following ABC license renewals for 2016-17. Chili's, Holmdel, all the above.
All these, they've been inspected by the Board of Health and by the police department, that now, yes. And everything's been.
Second, roll call.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Fratelli?
Yes.
Mr. Papaduno?
Yes. Line on 16 minutes, approve the minutes.